Hey guys, welcome to a new movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about a new independent film called The Lighthouse. This film is actually filmed in black and white, so if you're wondering why this video is in black and white, it's not your computer, don't worry. Um, it's an intentional effect that the film that I'm reviewing for you today also used to kind of add an effect in a way to kind of the story that was being told for it. So yes, the film I am reviewing for today is The Lighthouse, and what this film is essentially about, and like I said, it's independent film. Only a couple theaters around the country are going to show it. It's not like a super wide released film like most films are, so it's definitely a smaller kind of film. I think it did well at some film festivals earlier this year, and that's why it's getting the release that it is, anyway. So, in the movie, though, it takes place in the 1800s. There's two lighthouse keepers that are on this exiled island of sorts, and they are in charge of taking care of this lighthouse so that people don't get lost at sea or anything like that. And so one of the lighthouse keepers is really young, one of them is really old, and for the young lighthouse keeper, he's actually taking over for somebody that we really don't know what happened to this person, but he was the former lighthouse keeper along with Willem Dafoe's lighthouse keeper. And obviously, with Willem Dafoe being older than Robert Pattinson, he plays the older lighthouse keeper. So at first, these guys kind of at first really don't get along very well. One of them likes to chit chat a lot. One of them really does not, is really not into that. Um, they both kind of have their mental instability, like they're both really unstable and they're both really kind of mentally not here and not there. Um, they both kind of lose their temper on things really easily. They both have drinking problems. So in a way, they fit each other, and they both fit kind of the job description that they're both going for. But they both have serious personal problems that definitely hurt their job and hurt the way that they live together on this island while watching this lighthouse. Um, so throughout the course of this film, things happen. Things happen both in dreams and realistically what's really going on with them at the time that the film's taking place, that kind of set these two guys over the edge. And over the course of this film, certain details come to light that they learn about each other that kind of really makes them go over the edge on their actions and how they pursue their job and how they pursue being around each other and how they pursue living around each other. And some very dangerous things happen over the course of the film, The Lighthouse. So overall, guys, I thought this film was okay. I know this film is just getting rave reviews all over the board. Like I said, it did really well at a film festival, and that's why it's getting this big release that it is. Chris Stuckman, who I really like on YouTube, gave this film an A plus, and he said he never gave an A plus since 2017, I believe, which is a pretty long time to wait for a really good score for a film. So there was just tons of things about this film I was really looking forward to going into it, and at the end of the day, it was just okay for me. There's just certain things about it that I really admire. I admire its craft, but there's also things about it that I think really wear it down from preventing it from being a quote unquote great film. So for my positives of The Lighthouse, I thought the use of black and white shots were really effective in this film. Even like in this little video here, it's already a different effect than most of my movie reviews because those are in color. So when you're shooting in black and white, that just kind of gives your film a more eerie effect, a more contemporary effect if you're going for that. There's just certain kind of effects you can go for when shooting in black and white over in shooting in color. And I feel the choice that they chose here of shooting the film in black and white does give the film a different effect than if they just shot it in color and tried to make it feel like the 1800s in color. And it just probably would have not felt the way that it should have. So I think shooting it in black and white was the right choice for the story like this, especially with all the darker scenes that occur towards the end of the movie. So I thought that was a smart choice for this movie. So it's probably one of my bigger positives for this movie. And I do overall like the idea of a tale of two bad roommates, just two guys that are very different from one another. Yes, they have the same job. Yes, they have similar problems, but they have very different problems as a result too. And also as a result, they're not going to live with each other very well. Problems are going to happen. They're mentally and emotionally and physically not going to live well around each other because of this. Because they both also have drinking problems too. That's also another layer of problems that they're both going to have. Um, so I think the overall idea of a tale of bad roommates, especially with him being on a lighthouse on an exiled island, there's interesting things you can do with that. I like how they at least tried to do that for this movie. There's interesting approaches interesting ideas here. Not all of them work, unfortunately, but just the overall idea of bad roommates, exiled island, working a lighthouse. I think that's a neat idea for a movie. Robert Pattinson's character, let's just say, and it's not super much of a giveaway. I'm going to try to keep this as clean, as broad as I can, so I'm not doing any spoilers. But there is a mermaid character in this film. I guess that's just the best way to say it without ruining anything or spoiling anything. That only he can see. Willem Dafoe's character is not associated with this character at all. He never gets to meet this mermaid character of sorts. I thought that aspect of the film was interesting because it showed a different side to Robert Pattinson's character rather than just him getting angry at Willem Dafoe's lighthouse keeper. So I thought on the scenes where this mermaid character showed up, it added a different element of the movie, showed a different side of Robert Pattinson's character, both good and bad. That we probably wouldn't have seen if that character were to not show up throughout the course of the movie. The use of seagulls I thought was very effective in this film. It definitely once again showed a side of Robert Pattinson's character that we probably wouldn't have been able to see unless these seagulls showed up at like the wrong time or showed up on times where he's starting to go crazy himself. So I thought the use of seagulls in this film was also very effective. I also thought the musical score on occasion was pretty effective for the most part, especially when they're working in a lighthouse or something intense is about to happen. I thought the use of music on those scenes was very effective for the most part. For my negatives of the film, though, why I really don't consider this to be a great film, The Lighthouse, unfortunately, is a very slow-moving movie. It really is. It really kind of moves along at a snail's pace. It really is. It really kind of takes a long time to make its point. Also, is another thing I don't like about it. So, unfortunately, it's very slow-moving. If you don't like slow burn movies, or especially really slow movies, unfortunately, The Lighthouse is probably going to be a little hard to get through for you. I also thought personally, and maybe this is just me, but I also didn't like how there were so many scenes in this movie where we're just seeing Robert Pattinson work a day in the life of a lighthouse keeper, and same with Willem Dafoe's character. It just, I don't know, it just didn't really add anything to the story. I thought it went on for too long when they showed those. There's just so many scenes where it's just another day in the life, another day in the life, another day in the life, and some of those don't really add into anything. They don't really add anything to the story either. So I thought either remove those scenes, trim them down somehow, or just the way they did it just felt like too much at once. I also thought this film was very repetitious. There's tons of scenes where these two guys are drinking all the time, and after a while, it just feels like you're looking at two annoying drunk sailors after a while. I just thought it was very repetitious. Just kind of got old after a while, and they just kind of kept going back to it. And that's not the only thing. There's a couple of other things throughout the movie that get really repetitious, like whether it's them eating dinner and things like that. Um, so some parts of the film I thought were really repetitious and could have benefited from doing a variety of things rather than just the same thing all the time. And I also overall thought the film was very conventional in its insanity. Whenever the film really tries to go crazy and insane, I couldn't help but think of films like The Shining, like Psycho, um, like Kill Bill. There's just so many other films in mind that these guys do what characters in those films already did. So as a result, I feel like the film is stealing from more successful films rather than coming up with its own thing with its own story and its own characters, which would have worked overall better in the end. And overall, I just really didn't care about some of these characters, whether it was the mermaid, whether it was Robert Pattinson's character, whether it was the Willem Dafoe old lighthouse keeper guy. Um, I just really never had a reason to care about them. So if something bad happened to them, I just really didn't feel anything. Um, I need to care about somebody if I want to feel invested in the story, and I just didn't feel that in this film, unfortunately. I also feel like the film goes on forever, and unfortunately, that goes back to the slow pacing in the movie. It's about an hour and 50 minutes, and it feels like a 3 hour film just because the pacing is so slow and it feels like it takes so long to make its point at times. So overall, I'm going to give The Lighthouse a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's all right. Like I said, the use of black and white shots, the tale of bad roommates, the mermaid element, the seagulls, and the musical score are all very effective here. But it's a very slow moving movie. There's just too many scenes where these guys are just working and nothing more, nothing less. It's very repetitious at times, especially in the drinking scenes. It's very conventional at times, especially when they go like the insanity, crazy thing route. I just overall didn't really care about any of the characters, and I really felt like the film just went on forever. And I think this would have helped with a better pacing to make it not feel that way. So 7.5 out of 10. Maybe Redbox rental this down the road if you absolutely have to see this one. I personally wouldn't recommend it. I think there's just too many problems here. It's an okay film. 7.5 out of 10 for me. It's a Redbox rental at best for The Lighthouse.